you though, E3, so much apathy. That's all I can do for the intro because the next hour is just gonna suck.
You guys are telling me you did not enjoy all of the pre-rendered cinematic trailers?
We'll get into that after the intro.
Roll it.
Feeling tired at the gaming table? Want to hear foul-mouthed jackasses poke fun at gaming companies when they screw up? Want an honest, street-level opinion from a team of gamers that call it like it is? Then Blunt Force Gamers may be the podcast for you.
Listener discretion advised.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna make it shine.
Till I make you pay so much for DLC.
That's right.
EA again.
Okay, shit, dude. I watched Ubisoft, Microsoft, and Bethesda.
You know, my favorite was Sony.
I watched Nintendo.
Actually, Sony made a wise choice this year.
Exactly.
They could have come up on stage and it would have just been another mediocre presentation because they've really got nothing to show. So by not showing, they played the game better than everybody else. And almost every fucking world exclusive on Microsoft's stage is also on Sony's platform. So if your opponent's going to advertise for you, fuck.
Yeah.
Why bother advertising when they're just doing it for free?
Mean you guys aren't excited for Bleeding Edge, the totally not Overwatch game, Magenta Edition?
Yeah, tell me about all the Magenta. I saw that. They sent Yahtzee over there.
Oh, so you did watch that.
I did watch that because you suggested it, and oh my god, dude. Fucking brutal.
Yeah. Well, we like to think of our game as, it has, the comparison to Overwatch has been made, but we like to think of ours as more stylistic. Quote Yahtzee. Right.
That's true.
I mean, you reskinned everything like a bunch of fucking plebs.
Even the characters are practically the same.
Yeah, you got like your mech character, your DJ character.
Your anime girl.
Yeah, your anime girl.
With the oversized weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying they're playing off of stereotypes?
What?
Well, if we're going to get into that, let's address the elephant in the room.
All right.
The big one that's going to be on everybody's lips for at least the next year until it releases. Cyberpunk.
Oh, yeah.
A role-playing game written in the 80s by a black man is now not inclusive enough.
Okay.
Are people already complaining about it? I thought everyone was
people are. There's an image of a transgender, transsexual, whatever, crossdresser. I don't fucking know. It's a picture. But there's a picture in one of the subways, which was there actually in the first demo release last year. And it says, the caption on it says, "Mix it up." And it's got a guy like in a fucking one-piece bathing suit, totally cyberpunked out. But there's an obvious bulge.
Uh-huh.
So it's a guy dressing as a chick in a swimsuit kind of deal, and people are flipping out about that. It's like, really, you guys want inclusivity. You guys want to be treated as the same as anybody else. This is what happens in modern marketing. We take women, we dress them up in scantily clad outfits, and have them hold up a fucking Coca-Cola. So what is the difference between having a transgender hold up a fucking soda pop that's to the lore of the world in a similar advertisement? What's so different about it?
Mm-hmm.
There isn't any. And
this is an equal play.
Yeah. And, for those of us who are on the furry, scaly, what have you side, there's also those options in the character creator.
Well, that's also the other thing, is they were thinking the long run, behind the scenes, and it hasn't really been to the front news yet. CD Projekt Red has been giving this the treatment like Mass Effect. You have your token male-female protagonist, who's obviously going to be the norm. This is the average everyday schmuck in that world. Beyond that, you can create whatever the fuck you want when you get to the character generator. So your main character can be black, white, Chinese, polka dot.
Box.
They can be a box with a question mark over it. I don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They're making a character creator that's for anybody, but that hasn't been fully realized yet. They're still designing the game to make it that way. But this is already in the plans. You can play any character you want, just like Commander Shepard.
So I didn't follow up a lot on Cyberpunk because, like I said, I was focusing on Nintendo's, their whole spiel. But Is it CD Projekt Red who's making this game? Just because
Yes.
you brought them up?
Yes.
CD Projekt Red is making Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay.
This is the same studio that brought us The Witcher.
Yeah, The Witcher.
Yeah, everybody's
Witcher,
going to bitch
yeah.
about it now, but once it comes out, it's just going to get critical acclaim. Everyone's
Yeah.
going to play the fuck out of it.
Everyone's gonna play the fuck out of it, and like several of my friends have commented to me, it's like, I was a fan of this well before E3, and now E3's gone off, and everybody and their fucking mother is off on it, and like, it feels bad. 'cause-
Even bad advertising is good advertising.
Yeah.
Everybody's
mean-
going to go off on it, and if CD Projekt Red pulls another rabbit out of their hat, Slavic Magic, the same company that did Witcher, everybody's going to love it.
Vodka and Slavic magic.
Hey, speaking of vodka and Slavic Magic, did you guys see that they're actually porting The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt to the Switch?
Holy
Yes.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
and
doing
here's
that.
the thing. They actually showed some in-game footage. They toned down the graphics, but they actually showed players what you can expect to see in the game. NetherRealm Studios.
Mm-hmm.
You fucks.
Dun,
Let's
dun,
see.
dun.
Did anyone keep track of how many mobile games were being advertised?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, the whole
Eh.
conference. Didn't you watch it?
No, because I forgot and I was busy at work.
Okay. Do you want me to start on my rant about Bethesda?
Maybe we should,
Let's save that as the finale.
Okay,
We'll end on a high
save
note.
That, no, that is not ending on a high note. That's ending on a fucking rage-fueled rant. Because the guys at Bethesda have obviously been in a circle jerk gargling fucking bleach for the last year and just still don't fucking get it. And then, of course, and one of the big ones, well, not really that big, but it was huge in the fucking comments, is how many of those audience members were on the fucking payroll. Like, they had one dude, I swear this dude, I just nicknamed him Screamin' Steve.
Screaming Steve.
I just nicknamed him Screamin' Steve.
All right.
And, like, every time somebody announced something, like, a shoe shows up on the fucking screen, that guy is out in the audience, just, woo! Louder than everybody else. Like, the ultimate coked-up hype man is sitting out there just screaming at everything.
Yeah, I always love those, guests at E3 who are just so happy with life to be there. You see them in the crowd, and they're reacting the same way to a game trailer that, most Catholics would react to when they announce the new pope.
Yeah, this guy, I just nicknamed him Screamin' Steve. I think it was Ubisoft. No, Microsoft. One of the softs. You know how they say there's a winner of E3?
Yeah.
They're always like, oh, Bethesda won E3 this year, or EA won E3 this year.
Is there really a winner to E3 anymore?
Yes, there was. There was one winner.
All right.
One clear fucking winner, and I just, wow. When the moment happened, I heard about it, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? So I watched the video because I'm at work. So I had to watch it later, but Keanu Reeves won E3.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Keanu,
dude,
you knew too much.
Okay, so
You
he's
went
up on
too
stage
far.
for those who haven't seen it, and if you haven't seen it, I go to BitChute, go to YouTube, go to any site that's covered E3, really. Keanu Reeves is up on stage, and he's talking about Cyberpunk because for a while there he's gone quiet because he's helping the guys with Slavic Magic out. And they do the reveal trailer, and he gets down and he's like, "Get up, samurai. We got a city to burn." And boom, Keanu Reeves. And you're like, holy fuck, they just upped it with some star power. Well, he's up there announcing the game, going on about it, and he says, this game is really breathtaking. Some dude in the audience goes, "You're breathtaking." And Keanu Reeves, you can tell it's an honest, genuine, he's taken aback by this. And he just like,
No,
He's
you're breathtaking.
yeah, he's standing on one foot, just like kind of like knocked back from the awesomeness of this awesome the audience member, and he just turns, points at the guy, and he goes, "You're breathtaking."
There's memes about it. There's
Yeah.
quite a few memes about it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
become
that
very
Uno
meme-worthy.
card reverse. Just you're breathtaking. No, you're breathtaking.
Yeah, there's
It's-
actually one where like they show him holding a Uno card. It's a reversal card.
Yeah, I know, right? There's also the various Yu-Gi-Oh! You activated my trap card meme.
yeah.
It's everywhere.
Good
That's
guy,
like
Keanu.
the super big highlight of E3 is Keanu Reeves yelling "You're breathtaking" at somebody, and the other 3 days just don't matter.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's pretty much it, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, for the most part, just cinematic trailers, so
Oh, so many cinematics.
no one learns anything from those.
Quick question.
Why bother?
How much innovation was shown?
In my humble opinion, none. Not a fucking slice of innovation. Like, they're presenting the new Watch Dogs game, and it's basically what happens if Brexit actually takes place, and they're
Watch
predicting like
Dogs.
a utopia of oppression that's like worse than V for Vendetta kind of oppression. And, you know, the people's resistance has to rise and take down the authoritarian government, blah, 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 blah. But you're looking at all the screen caps and you're like, this is just a toned down English version of Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
It's the
Especially,
Cyberpunk
like-
without the cyber.
Yeah, especially given the Watch Dogs franchise is quite literally about being a gun-toting hacker running around and fucking shit up.
Yeah, but even the visuals alone were very Cyberpunk. It's like, the guys over there are like, well, those guys at CD Projekt Red have got another winner on their hands. What do we do? Clone it.
Yeah, and then the whole thing about how you can recruit anyone, and we were talking about this the other
me and
night.
Blasphemous were talking about this the other night.
It's going to be either a shit ton of bloatware in the game, download, whatever, or it's going to be a whole bunch of computer, quote-unquote, randomization where every probably third person is going to be the same.
Yeah, because one of the big thing that they're mentioning about that is every person you run into has a personality. Every person has a backstory. Every person has a recruitment mission. And if you're dealing with a game that has several hundred NPCs that are all interactable, that is a lot of behind-the-scenes techno-babble that I don't want to get into.
Hooray for fetch quests.
Hooray for fetch quests.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm
Probably.
thinking it's going to be a lot like a maybe like a rabbit hole kind of situation where it's got a bunch of pre-gen factors in the background. When you encounter a person, it'll just like random roll a bunch of crap behind the scenes. But even at that, it's
Wait.
I want to see that in practicality.
Hold
well,
on.
even in practicality, you run into like you say you're playing 3 games into it. It's not going to be long until you start getting into things that are like, whoa, deja vu. Didn't I do this quest for a little old lady?
I want to see the quest come up where you go to the one little girl NPC and she's like, my backstory, I was a veteran in the apocalypse.
No shit, dude.
I took hundreds of lives.
Took hundreds of lives and I got a hook for a hand.
Wait, hold on. I think I just figured out what one of their game mechanics might be. Are they going to have, diversity requirements then for the people you recruit?
Oh, you fucking...
Just
You had
it's
to bring it up.
Ubisoft, and they're already playing the woke card too much. Actually, or no, that's Microsoft, isn't it? I don't know.
One
No, that
way
was
or another.
Ubisoft that was doing the Watch Dogs. The other one that gets me for Ubisoft, because all these full motion video, giant hour and a half long commercials. Ubisoft presented another one that's like Rollerball.
It's like roller derby.
Roller derby, but I was seriously getting flashbacks to Alita. Just from the game, because it's one of the few that actually showed gameplay. One of the few. Because God forbid, gamers want to see some gameplay.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Gameplay.
Gameplay.
On that note, I remember when I was, a young little pup, and we still had, what was it, G4 was a TV channel?
Oh, wow. I've totally forgot about G4.
Yeah. But
It's
Wow.
come up as a meme now.
you
Like,
remember
The Onion's done stories on it.
back then when they were the ones who did the primary coverage for E3, and they were actually like, yeah, and we're totally showing you this game footage, and then they raise a curtain. There's literally just someone with a controller making them do all the stuff. Nowadays it's like, we totally pre-generated all of this, and back then it was like, no, we actually have people up here playing the game.
E3, watching the 3 presentations that I had picked out for this show. When I was watching those presentations, I just got this major feeling that I was sitting in a movie theater, and there was not going to be a movie at the end of it. It was just, I literally sat down. Each episode was about an hour and a half, so we're talking 4.5 hours, and I just sat there taking mental notes, going, what the fuck? And in that 4.5 hours, plus the few hours I thought about it afterwards to construct what I have to say, which is not much, because there wasn't much to be presented, there's no reward at the end of it. There's no movie. It was just a bunch of FMVs.
As a wise man once said, movies have trailers, games have demos.
Yeah.
Well, these were...
And this is an era that's
even
gone
the commentary
long ago.
on various forums when I was watching the videos, of course, there was the live chat on the side that happened while the show was going on. In the forums that I've picked through on Reddit, everybody pretty much is saying the same thing. They're like, God, another video? God, another video? Where's the fucking gameplay?
Yeah.
And one of the ones that really got me about it was I was watching Microsoft's, and this is how bad Star Wars has fallen. This is how bad it has fallen. They show one Star Wars game, people are like, yeah, cool, Star Wars, whoopee shit. But then they show another one, and people are like, God, a second Star Wars game coming out soon? Fuck, isn't one enough?
Mm-hmm.
People have had enough of Star Wars just by the commentary alone on these forums.
People have had enough of Star Wars since the Phantom Menace, so this is nothing new.
True. Well, it has become less about story and more about brand.
Yeah. Where in the money?
How many different costumes can we put you in so we can make them DLC or out of loot boxes in the game?
Fortnite,
God,
Overwatch.
Dude. Okay, I'm going to save that for later because that's part of my fucking Bethesda rant.
Hey, you know, since we're on the topic of video games, do you guys want to hear my Mortal Kombat gripe of the week?
Bring it.
So, you guys know Cabal, right?
Uh-huh.
And you know his classic fatality, the the screamer face?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that came back in Mortal Kombat 11 as one of his brutalities. And of course, when he does it, they censor his face because that's kind of the joke.
Yeah, he's so damn ugly they can't show it.
Well, some paste eaters decided, how come you have his face censored? We know what he looks like already. And so they uncensored it. And they gave him like these big Google eyes when he does it, and like his hair goes all woo. Did they not get that was the joke to have his face censored?
No, they don't.
Yeah, so they
changed
patched
it.
it. They changed it.
They changed it into a further meme.
Dude,
I full white girl. I just hashtag can't even right now.
Oh my god.
They don't get their consumer base anymore. They don't understand their customers anymore. They're too busy taking ideas and killing them.
Has Ed Boon played Mortal Kombat?
I don't think he's been involved in Mortal Kombat except for pushing papers behind the scenes for years.
Yeah, we were told that social media was going to make it easier for us to communicate and all of this, but it's only made the loud minority more powerful. It's really ridiculous because you got people that are just like, oh, super dumb thing. Developers like, they're talking about it on social media. It must be done.
Yeah.
And then you get this panic-stricken or meme-themed fix that solves the problem.
Well, I know
and
you
makes fun
guys
of them.
know, and some of our listeners know, but not everybody knows. You know, I was a legitimate businessman for 5 years in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
I stood behind the counter. I talked to customers. I talked to the suppliers. I talked to developers of the games that we were selling. I got involved on many different levels during that time. And at the forefront of my mind, when I came stumbling into work at noon, because gamers don't like pre-noon waking up,
No,
when I
they
came
don't.
stumbling into the store to unlock things and, you know, turn on the lights and, you know, open the door so gamers could come in and flip magic cards all day, I had one thing in mind. I need to make this an enjoyable experience so people will come back and spend more money so I can keep the store open, because in the end of the day, I am a businessman and I want to make some money.
Money.
Because that's why people open stores. This is why people sell products. They want to make money. You know, and it's great to have a fun job like that. In my experiences of dealing with the customers, I've never have worked a job that I have loved more on a personal level. But at the end of the day, it's about money, and, you know, if I'm trying to sell products my customers don't want, they're not having a good time, I'm not having a good time, and I'm not able to go out and buy games personally when I go home. And every one of these guys at the big-ass E3 conference have seemed to have forgotten that, you know, engaging your customers and giving your customers what they want will be more beneficial to you to keep having this really fun, great job. So instead, they're just pandering to a small minority, they're making less money, and those who are fans of the products that they used to sell are getting pissed and going elsewhere.
I actually ended up selling my copy of Mortal Kombat 11. Not because of the story and all that. Honestly, the whole woke aspect was a very minor issue for me. What finally tipped me over the edge, it's like, okay, so they have all this cosmetics shit. I'm sorry, listeners. I'll keep the Mortal Kombat rambling short this time. But every time
it was not presented at E3, no matter how much people wanted, like, a fucking presentation on DLC.
Well, they still had all their, you know, big Mortal Kombat setup. But anyway, what finally got me over the edge and just made me go, fuck it, I'm taking this back to GameStop. Every time I would go to the crypt and I would open a chest, you know, the animation would play and I'd be like, whoa, what did I get? Game crashed.
Nice.
And there's no history, so I have no idea what I got.
That's
After like the 20th time, I said, fuck this. I'm getting $25 store credit.
That's actually one of the things I've noticed about this E3 that kind of pisses me off as an older gamer.
Yeah. As an old fag?
As an old fag, as an ancient fag.
Uh-huh.
For those who don't understand the whole fag terminology, go to 4chan, lurk more. Anyway.
Lurk more, faggot.
Lurk more. Oh, we're probably going to get hit because I said ancient fag in reference to myself being on 4chan in the ancient times before Boxy was the queen of B.
Continuing.
Anyway, continuing. One of the things that pisses me off, when we had E3s and stuff like that, when they did demos and presentations and all that, you were seeing not only gameplay footage or getting news on what was coming up, but you could go down to your GameStop or your other local game store, whatever it was. You could go down to KB Toys or EB Games, any of these guys, and you're like, hey, I want the newest game for my Super Nintendo, or I want the newest game for my PlayStation. You took it home, you put it in the machine, what you got was what you got, and if it was a bad game, it would die and fall into the wayside. Nobody would fucking remember it. So publishers and developers and all the people behind the scenes made sure to put out a quality fucking product. Like, Chrono Trigger only had like 2 major bugs in it, and one of them was kind of more of an exploit.
Yeah.
But beyond that, the game was full and complete. When you got Final Fantasy III, it was a full and complete game. When you got... Shit, I mean, if you want to talk about buggy, one of the most beloved games, Final Fantasy VII, you know, it had its issues. It had some major problems.
Yeah.
But what you got was what you got. There was no going home, getting day one DLC. There was no microtrans shit. And it... Now, with all these games, and oh, gods... No games as services back then. And even the millennials are turning against this shit.
Fucking Uplay every time you start up any Ubisoft game.
Well, Ubisoft announced they're rolling out their own subscription service this year. Bethesda announced their Orion service. You know, those two guys, you know, they're pretty big guys on the market. Microsoft announced their big-ass line of different shit. How many different subscription services am I going to have to fucking play around with so I can just play my fucking game?
Yeah, Nintendo's got one too now.
Okay, so, anyway.
Yeah.
As I was going on...
This isn't a funny podcast.
This is not a funny podcast at all.
Maybe not this episode.
Maybe not this episode. I'm just too pissed to be funny right now. Honestly. You know, they're rolling out all these services. Each different company is rolling theirs out. And it's going to be like TV.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have the people who are like, well, I got Netflix, or I got Hulu, or I got Amazon. But I don't want to subscribe to all these others because they're only subscribing to one of these services because that service has what they want. Just for fuck's sake, man.
We have PSN and Box.
Yeah, we also got
PSN.
POS, whatever the fuck Sony has.
Yeah, Nintendo's got their own subscription service
Nintendo's
too.
got their own.
You know,
this is going to collapse in on itself.
Yeah, it really is.
It literally is just going to collapse in on itself. I'm too pissed.
Yeah, maybe it's my own complacentness, but I don't know. I just feel at least Nintendo, their subscription service, while still at the end of the day completely unwarranted, is at least the cheapest of them. For a month, it's like $3-4. For 3 months, it's $5, and for an entire year, it's $20.
One of the other problems I have with this, you know, being from the older gamer mentality, you know, pre-2000s, you buy a game, you take it home, you put it on the shelf, it's in your library. You can choose when to or when not to play that game. 30 years later, you can dust off your old console and be like, shit, I want to go retro. Pull that game out that you forgot to play and fucking play it.
Yeah.
With all these games as subscription, you can't do that. Once your subscription is over, you no longer have access to all of that library of games that you're paying money to play. And some of these different subscription services, I fell for it with Microsoft when they first released the Xbox 360.
Yeah.
You know, I bought a game digital. It went onto my hard drive. But unfortunately, when I went back to go get it later, that particular part of their website was no longer functional, which means I could not re-download that game.
Yeah, it's kind of weird now, because you brought up retro gaming. It's kind of weird now to, like, if I plug in my GameCube or something and not have to go through menus, it's just, oh, wow, I'm already at the start menu. I didn't have to press anything.
Yeah. It's kind of weird, you know, because, you know, with the millennials and later Gen X, you know, they're children of convenience.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you buy something and you take it home and then you have to wait 6 hours to fucking play it, That is inconvenient as fuck.
And then not only on top of that, but 6 hours to download it, and you speed run through it in like 6.5.
Something like that.
Yeah, and the replayability is so low on a bunch of these games. It's ridiculous, man. Like I, you guys know, and I've said it time and time again, I gave up on console gaming.
Yeah.
And part of the reason was because it was that whole day one patch. Well, I didn't have internet at the time. I was thinking, oh, this is going to be like old school. I just buy the game and play it as is, which was great.
Okay, I'm going to edge into Bethesda territory here before I get into my rant. But you brought up a good topic on that, is incomplete games. You know, when you buy a game now, they're incomplete. Day one patch. You're not buying the full game.
DLC.
You're basically buying a late stage alpha now.
Yeah, it was like a good example of that, if you ask me, was with the Octo expansion that came out, I want to say last summer, about a year ago, for Splatoon 2, where Splatoon 2, it was really, everyone said, they liked it, but it was really just more of Splatoon 1.
That's a lot of what people were saying about games this year in E3. They're just like, oh, it's more of the same.
Yeah, it was, it was more Splatoon 1, but with, now they have that kind of, that wave survival mode. And it still had the campaign, but you could feasibly complete all the levels just using a single weapon, if it weren't for the fact that it made you use weapons the first time you go through the levels. But with the Octo expansion, and I'm just starting to play it now, so I don't know, so I don't have much personal experience, I should say, but that brought, a lot, because, to play the levels, you actually need to do good enough in the previous levels, and, it brings a whole lot of, it brings a whole lot of actual kind of organic challenge to the game, and it really gives it kind of a oomph.
It's really weird too, because
and that's without the multiplayer too.
Yeah, without the multiplayer.
Yeah.
The retro gaming stuff. I'm actually seeing a lot of people, and I think E3 is actually going to unintentionally facilitate this with a lot of their newer releases that they were premiering but not showing us gameplay of.
Call it now.
I'm calling it now. I think retro gaming is going to get even more steam under its jets.
Well,
and that is not a intended pun or an unintended pun, but I'm seeing a lot more people in various forums on Discord and whatnot looking at games that are pre-digital age to go to, because they like them better, they load quicker, the gameplay is more solid, there's less wokeness.
Yeah.
You can play, and with roleplay games, you can play whatever the fuck you want. There's a greater library of games, and most of the newer stuff is more shock and awe rather than hearts and minds.
Yeah,
that's a big part of it. I mean, think about from where we're sitting at. How many retro gaming stores can you guys think of off the top of your head that are legit? That's all they do.
3 or 4.
I can think of maybe one.
I can think of one brick and mortar and a handful of internet ones.
Thanks to my uncle, who is a collector of old school video games, there are about 30 of them in the Puget Sound area where they specialize in just retro games.
I correct myself to 2. I can think of 2.
Well, it's like when the SNES clone came out, because now the ability to build one is virtually open source. It's public domain, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But anybody can buy the rights to build one and put it on the market. And our local Kroger-owned Fred Meyer store put those on the shelves, and they were sold out within 2 days. And they couldn't get more.
You go and look online, and you find people reselling them for 3, I've seen up to 4 times the MSRP.
Yeah.
That's hardly surprising.
Background noise.
Can I, before you get into your Bethesda tirade there, Goblin?
Oh, I am going to rip them a new asshole.
Y'all mind if I give my little report on Nintendo's?
Yeah, I want to hear
conference?
what Nintendo had to do, because I did not see their presentation, so go ahead.
Okay,
Mike is
so
yours.
one of the big things for Nintendo this year was Animal Crossing. That was one of the big ones that a lot of people were looking forward to, because they thought it was going to be released about this time, if not a little earlier this year. It got pushed back to 2020. So Animal Crossing was finally announced. It's called, not New Haven, but it looks like it's being set on kind of a island resort. With each game, the kind of joke is that, Tom Nook, the little raccoon who sells you your real estate, he gets a little more affluent.
Every time?
Yeah. But the thing that has me a little worried in terms of, I applaud them for doing something different, but they're implementing a crafting system into this game series, which has me kind of worried.
The fuck?
Yeah, a crafting system in Animal Crossing. So that at least got announced. I think that'll be hitting the shelves, I want to say March of 2020 is when that's slated to be released.
On that topic, before you go back into your Nintendo rant, I'm just
Yeah.
going to interrupt for a moment. A lot of stuff I'm thinking next year is going to be huge.
Yeah,
That's the reason why this one was like the calm before the storm. Because Microsoft announced their new system, and they're slating it for a release date next 2020, which makes sense. It makes absolute sense. The Xbox
One,
whatever the fuck it was, the Xbone was released in 2013, so that's a 7-year cycle from going from conceptualization to design to production to launch.
Yeah.
It's a 7-year cycle. That's about average within standard for a lifetime of a video game system.
Yeah.
7 years is a good number to go with. It's not too short. It's not too long. And pot shot at Bethesda that Xbox and Microsoft and those guys can release a newly fully functional game system within 7 years, and people are still waiting for ESO to do something. They're still waiting for Elder Scrolls 6. We still have no idea about Skyrim in space. But Microsoft can come out with a brand new system and have it ready for launch in 7 years. This worries me, though, because PlayStation has already done demos of their new mock-up system. They've shown their prototype in action, but theirs was released 3 years ago in 2016. And that would be 2020. That's a 4-year life cycle. That's way too short, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the same thing happened with the PS3. Like, with the PS3... when they released the PS4, I don't think they actually reached the PlayStation 3's full potential with what it could do. And I really don't want to see that happen to the PS4 either.
That's true. And the other thing that makes me call this out as a prediction that next year is going to be huge is a lot of their game titles that they're planning on releasing, almost everything in EA this year that had a date on it was
E3.
2020, which
Yeah.
is also the season the new Xbone is coming out.
Yeah, and I think one of the elephants in the room we're not addressing is the remake of Final Fantasy VII that's coming out next year.
I'm pissed.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I can't help it, but I'm glad they're doing a Final Fantasy remix.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for this for a long time because apparently we're fucking masochists and we just want to see Aerith die in high definition.
Yeah.
One of the most tear-jerking scenes that got people off guard, which has been done before in that style of game by that company. But Aerith just, really drove it home because she was a fantastic character.
Yeah.
She was waifu material, totally.
They actually made fun of her getting killed in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Probably.
What?
Yeah, they did. So, in the Smash Bros, there's like achievements you can unlock, or, goals or whatever the fuck, challenges.
Trophies.
Yeah, trophies or in challenges, and like when you unlock them, they have like the little screenshot that the development team made as kind of like a little joke. Well, one of them for Cloud is he's standing in a water stage, and Princess Peach is like in her falling animation, and he's like holding her and like looking down at her like.
Damn. The thing that gets me about Final Fantasy
Savagery.
VII being remade, though,
Zelda, sorry.
is they're changing the combat system. This is going to piss off all the older crowd. The newer crowd may or may not embrace it, but the true action time battle scenario really doesn't work well in a Final Fantasy game. The ATB has always been like a cornerstone of it.
Turn-based strategy is really just kind of a relic, I think, at this point, to a degree.
It is a relic.
So you really could not replicate that classic Final Fantasy VII feel. It would not work. It'd be too clunky.
Well, the tangent I'm going to go on here, though,
Yeah.
is if it feels like Final Fantasy X2, it will fail.
That's
The combat system in that, it was just terrible. Because in a role-playing game, you have... And Final Fantasy is definitely a huge offender on this category. You have just pages and pages and pages of stuff. You're collecting loot, you're collecting gear, you're collecting equipment, you're collecting spells, you're collecting special items. You just have just this huge fucking codex. And as you get through the game further and further down the line, that codex grows.
Yeah.
And if
Never
you're in
stops.
true time combat, is the game going to pause so I can select a special item to heal one of my party members because my healer is low on mana? Am I going to be able to, pause the game to select a special item to cast a spell-like effect? Well, I don't know this because they didn't have that in Final Fantasy X-2. So when you're in Final Fantasy X-2, like the combat was like right there in your face, and you're like, "Fuck, I need to use this item because it's really great in this battle scenario." You open up the menu, you're looking for your item, and you're still getting your ass hammered, and you're like, "Hold on, I'm looking through my backpack, motherfucker."
Yeah.
The only way that this could work is if it pulls something like Oblivion or Skyrim, where the entire world stops whenever you open your inventory.
Yeah,
And that just breaks immersion.
it breaks
feels
immersion, but at the
bad.
same time, in a role-playing game,
It makes sense.
And if they're remaking Final Fantasy VII, and it has a huge library of shit you have in your bags, the game needs to pause, because if it's going true time, even with your items, auto-sorted or sorted manually, it's going to take a while to find that one item you need. And if you're getting jackhammered, why bother?
Tifa getting jackhammered. Yeah.
Tifa getting jackhammered.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they're making a remake. Fuck, they even gave Final Fantasy VIII a remake.
Oh yeah, I saw something about that. Yeah.
That's a surprise out of left field, because 6 months ago everybody was like, why are all the other Final Fantasies getting remakes but not 8? And 8 is, of course, the least deserving of a remake. However, they remade that too. So
9 was better.
I'm still a fan of 10.
People
Daddy
can fight
issues.
me. I like 9.
You know what I miss?
9 was actually really good too.
Huh.
You guys remember fucking Dynasty Warriors?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I
Wow.
totally derailed. I just remembered. I totally just derailed your presentation
it's
on
all-
Nintendo.
No, it's all good. We all had good points to make, so it's cool. But Animal Crossing that was finally announced and cleared up. Let's see some other things.
Wasn't there Luigi's Mansion?
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3 is coming out, and my brother and I are both huge Luigi's Mansion fans. The second one kind of sucked because it went from, exploring the mansion, and there's no real break in the pace and the immersion with, like, going between worlds and levels. From what I was seeing through the trailers and some of the gameplay, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Because now, instead of being in a mansion, I really like what they're doing here. It's kind of like an old 1910s, 1920s, like, high-rise hotel. And so that's what the mansion's going to be. So that looks pretty cool. I think that's going to be released in the fall time. Pokemon Sword and Shield, got some more information about that. They have those Dynamax battles where they, like, supersize the Pokemon in the stadiums. You get one of those around, and all the Whale Lord memes.
And all the Whale Lord memes.
But here's something about Sword and Shield. Not every single Pokemon is going to be in this game. It's one of the main Pokemon games, and not every Pokemon is going to be in it.
Weren't they releasing a bunch of new ones?
Well, they are, but that's the thing. With each generation, they release all of them, plus the new however many. And in Sword and Shield, this is not going to be the case. It's all because my friend El Presidente and I were talking about it. It has something to do with, like, the cartridges. Like, I think the Nintendo Switch cartridges are something like 16 gigabyte memory on them, and if they wanted to do that for the full Pokemon, at least what I had heard from him, is that they would need at least, like, between 18 and 32 gigabytes memory, and that would take production costs from, like, I want to say, I'm trying to remember what he said here, like 40 cents up to, maybe like $1 or $2, which in production costs, that's a lot.
Yes, it is. It's
Yeah.
a lot, and it gets passed down to the next person, to the next person, to the
Yeah,
next
but
person.
but here's what I think. Here's where my pessimism comes in. I think they're gonna have all the Pokemon present. You're just gonna be able to get them as DLC later on.
Wait, no, they're gonna be loot boxes because they'll be random.
Oh god, I hope not. But I think they're gonna release the other, missing Pokemon later as DLC, just because that's the way things are going, and it would not surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
And
Wasn't there...
Which is another way people are going to retro gaming. No DLC.
yeah.
Yes. I think I saw another little bit of Nintendo's. Their opening skit was rather amusing. It was definitely poking fun at all the fans who made that meme when the guy got the job.
Yeah.
But as it continues, they also were talking Breath of the Wild 2 and a separate Link's Awakening game, which are also going to be relatively big titles, I think.
Zelda is such a fucking cutie. I mean, I'm already all about girls with short hair, and so now that she has that little pixie cut going on, ooh boy.
Does Zelda still wear the green outfit and carry the weird shield with the wings on it?
No, now she wears like a
Teal blue?
it's like a blue outfit, like what Link in Breath of the Wild wears. She looks very Bavarian.
God damn it, dude. I was totally like doing the whole Link gets mixed up with Zelda bullshit.
Oh. Yeah, she looks like a little Bavarian princess.
With elf ears.
Also, I heard a rumor that it's not actually a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, and like it is, but it isn't. So it's probably going to be some sort of like another Zelda timeline bullshit thing. That was the one where I made an exception, just because I've been a Zelda fan all my life. Where even though I saw no gameplay, I still, got all giddy and excited for.
Well, it's okay because this year's E3 gameplay was a scarce commodity, and if you saw some of it, you unlocked a trophy.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. But, what else? Oh, last thing I'll say on the new Pokemon. They're bringing raid battles in, which, I think is actually kind of a cool concept. But the legendary for Sword, that thing is just Sif. It's a Pokemonized version of Sif the Great Grey Wolf from Dark Souls. If you guys haven't looked it up, just look it up.
There's memes going around the Pokemon community about that dog, and like 5 other sword-wielding dogs. There's a ton of them. Including from Metal
the meme
Gear.
engine is going in full tilt on this one.
The little Scottish trainer. She's so cute.
Aye, and they have a wheel little sheep Pokemon.
The only way she could be more Scottish is tossing a log at her enemies.
There's memes about it.
I'll fucking cut you, you bastard.
All right, there is memes about that trainer going off in full Scottish Gaelic rampant anger.
I just want to see, like, in that one Monty Python sketch where, like, you know, a UFO or Pokemon, like, fires beams over all the trainers. They just all of a sudden have a kilt on, a huge red beard, and march off to Scotland with one fist raised. Should I tell my listeners, you know, my kind of fucked up idea for what the region's team should be? Or is that too fucked up?
I have no idea because you
Do
just
it.
brought it up.
Do it.
Well, I've told you guys before, my idea.
Do it.
Okay, well, because it's like, this region is supposed to be based off of Ireland, and each region in Pokemon has its villain team, I thought it'd be kind of funny if this region's team was based off of, like, the IRA. You know, you go into, like,
Pokemon Independence League.
Aye, but we believe in a free region and taking your Pokemon, you cunt. I want, you know, the trainer to walk into, like, a Poke Center, and then there's just, like, a duffel bag, like, under one of the benches, and then boof!
Bunch of Voltorbs just went
Yeah,
off.
just a bunch of Voltorbs. A bunch of pissed off, angry Irish Pokemon trainers.
Shit. That'd be awesome.
Nationalistic British people, please don't kill me. I only say this in jest.
I am just... I don't know, man. I'm like, what if your Pokemon trainer gets in trouble? Do they have to go to normal court? Do they have to go to Pokemon court? Or do they have to go to a special wizarding court?
Enemy Pokemon trainer used Glasgow Smile. It was super effective.
Damn, dude.
But
You found a 6-pack of Guinness in the woods. I'm kind of scared now.
But yeah, so that's Pokemon. What else did they announce? Astral Chain, which is a new game by Platinum Games, is coming out in July. I think July 19th. That looks pretty cool. It's kind of like, you know, a dystopian, futuristic Tokyo. You know, you play as like the police force, and there's like all these interdimensional deity or
Interdimensional bullshit.
yeah, interdimensional bullshit. That looks like fun. I actually think about picking it up, not pre-ordering.
Huh, I saw that anime.
I think we've all seen that.
Yeah,
a
it
few
was
times.
Demon City Shinjuku.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still kind of want to
Yeah, I
pick
just
it up.
dated myself.
Trying to remember what some of the other big ones. Super Mario Maker 2. Whoop-de-doo. No More Heroes. A new No More Heroes is coming out.
Oh, joy.
Yeah. There is that new John Romero game coming out, though. Have you guys seen that? That Empire of Sin?
No, I
Oh,
did
no,
not see
I've been
that.
seeing like banners about it.
With Paradox?
I think so, yeah. It's like
yeah, because
you're-
I've been seeing a lot of that crop up on the Paradox
It's
lines.
Yeah, it's like a management game, but it's set in like 1920s Prohibition Chicago, and there's 5 different gangs vying for control of the city. And so it has like XCOM style combat, but it's also about, you know, there's management control and shit. So that might be interesting.
Yeah, I'll just name my main character Gat. Leave it there.
I see what you did there.
Yeah,
I see what you did there.
yeah, my gang's color will be purple.
Mhm. And you'll have an affiliation for the particularly enlightened members of the Catholic Church.
No, I'll just run around and try not to tell anybody what Field Boss means.
What
Well-
about Crystal? I ain't got time for the stripper.
Stripper pole.
I think it's about that time. Let's hear this rant that everyone's been teased about so far.
Unleash the beast upon Bethesda.
Strapping.
Okay, I'm gonna start off right off the bat. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 mobile titles. Okay, and they're like bragging about how fucking great Splades is. First off, they forgot that Splades is practically a fucking flop in the game app store. When it was downloaded, you could pre-reg, they're announcing it on E3 last year. Like, hey, you can download this game, and when it comes out day one, you'll get, in early. Great. I signed up for it. I'm like, alright, I'm going to try it out. I'll give it a shot. Yeah, I couldn't play it. Turns out a lot of fucking people couldn't play it. You know why? Because they didn't list system requirements of what phone you needed or what tablet you needed of what generation. So everybody just ran forward, and when they signed up for it, they just, oh yeah, it'll work with your phone. You'll be great. You'll be fine. Turns out, no, you can't play it because your phone is too old, or you're not using the right number model of your fucking tablet. Can't play the fucking game. So a fuck ton of the user base, at least half of them, by my best guesstimate, couldn't fucking even play it. They could download it, they could get through the character generator, but once they go to the game itself, nope, won't work. Phone's too old. Fuck you. Haha. Not to mention, of course, the shady shit they pulled in the background after it was released with the loot boxes and all that crap. They pulled some really shady shit, changing how things work, so the players are like, what the fuck? Plus, grindy as hell. But no, they're talking about, oh yes, it's going to be on the fucking Nintendo Switch. Yay! And nobody fucking cares. Nobody gives a fuck. They're listing all these great numbers, of course, because they're trying to hype themselves up. So then they did another one. It was an advertisement for Scrolls, their card game. Still, no fucks given. If fucks given was kind of like one of those, an Olympic fucking competition where the pole vault, Scrolls is like setting the pole at 1 inch off the ground and trying to jump over it.
And still failing.
That's their measure of success. They're like, hey, somebody actually made it over the pole. It's a success. No, nobody gives a shit. And of course, the gameplay they showed. And I was watching it earlier to recap because I watched their fucking presentation during my work week and I had to pause. Some of those times to pause while working because I have a job to fucking do. Some of those times I paused because the cringe was so fucking thick. But they're showing their Scrolls little fucking mini movie. And the guy, gets a pop-up on his notification. The other player looks at him all disappointed. And he, swipes left to get rid of the fucking notification so he can go back to playing the game. Way to give a subtle hint that, doing your fucking job that you're paid to do is less important than playing a fucking mobile game with cards on it. They also introduced Commander Keen, and of course, Screamin' Steve, woo, out there in the audience, screaming his fucking lungs out. He's all super excited about Commander Keen. It has nothing of Commander Keen to it, which was an old platformer. Almost nobody remembers Captain Keen. I had to dig back in the history going, did I ever play this game? What the fuck? And it's got two twins with the same name on it. One's a boy, one's a girl, whatever. And it's another mobile title that has absolutely no fucking relevance to the source material other than the fact it's got the name Commander Keen. I'm just like, what's with all the fucking mobile titles? And then I can't remember if it was Pete Hines or God Howard who came out, and they were talking about all these firsts that Bethesda did. We were the first to do VR, and I'm like, fuck you, dude. You were not the first to do VR, because I was playing Aliens vs. Predator on VR in the house of a man with questionable morals. We'll leave it at like that, because, well, I have gotten fan mail from appearing in some of his more adult movies. I'll just leave it there.
Story for another podcast
entirely. However, I was playing VR Aliens vs. Predator in his living room because he was showing off the new system he got. This was before Matrix was even fucking released. Matrix wasn't even a fucking wet dream yet. I'm playing VR games in a full rig in a dude's living room because he was paid that well. And they're like, oh, we were the first to do VR. I'm like, at that point, Bethesda wasn't even a household name. And if they want to get out and start saying, hey, we were the first to do this, we were the first to do that, why don't they go on the fact that they were also the first to start releasing DLCs? They were the first ones to do horse armor. And then EA came along and said, holy shit, that's a great idea, let's do it. And we all know what EA did with it. But Bethesda, squirt, squirt. Yes, exactly. Nobody can, of course, this is an audio podcast, so nobody just saw Kazurkan's hand gestures of him doing a mocking hand gesture over his groin. But he pretty much sums it up eloquently. Nobody gives a shit about loot boxes. Nobody wants loot boxes. Loot boxes are fucking blight. And when fucking Bethesda first came out with DLC, it was really quality stuff. People did not really mind back then. But over the course of time, DLC prices have gone up, and the quality has gone down. Case in point, Mass Effect 2. Zaid was the only character that had personality, really. Kasumi was just crazy Asian chick, whatever. But Bethesda was the first ones to do that. And then they're talking about doing modding. We're the first ones to bring modding to consoles. Yes. What they didn't mention was that they've tried to do this with pay for mods first, and of course this has divided the mod community. We've got sellouts like Eleonora, who have moved over to the Bethesda side getting paid fucking peanuts to do whatever it is that fuck she does. And granted, some of these modders deserve cash. Arthmore is a great fucking modder, but it's not up to us modders, well, not in my case, I used to be a modder, so former modders and current modders, to fucking fix Bethesda's ruined shit.
Yep.
Of course they brought modding the console, because they're too fucking lazy to release a full game. They're also too lazy to
properly
fix
debug
their game properly. Case in point, Fallout 76, which of course is another title that they went on. They're like, Fallout 76 is going to have real NPCs with dialogue trees and storyline. You know what? I am not impressed. The crowd can be sitting there cheering to their heart's content, and I am one of the many people who question how many of those fucking audience members were paid to fucking be there. Because Screamin' Steve was way too fucking excited, and those guys would clap at anything. Is this what we've come to? Is it really what we've come to? That we will cheer on a fucking game company for adding in shit to an incomplete game after release that should have been there to begin with.
On top of all of the other controversy and bullshit that 76 had. You know?
Yeah, and they're finally getting to those fabric bags that they sold people and then whinged on and
Yeah.
If
If you are displeased with our
Bethesda,
product,
you know, just
write
when
an
you thought
essay.
they could not fuck up anymore, they
Yeah.
continue to do so. And now they've also released, and this is kind of like a double tangent, they've also said, hey, we're releasing a battle royale for 52 players at one time, you know, to become the overlord, overseer of Vault 51. No shits given.
52 players?
52 players. I don't even know if that game still has 52 players, but they're talking about their numbers out. Their community is so great and growing.
Can't Fortnite and like PUBG host 100?
Well, they're going up 52 players on this one. Up to 52 players at one time doing this big thing of, you know, ganking the shit out of each other. And honestly, it's been my opinion on this podcast and outside the podcast for the longest time that PvP is a fucking crutch. It's, again, having your players make content for you. You're in a box, all you do is shuffle around what colors are on the walls, you know, essentially move around some of the deals on the battlefield to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
So you're not always fighting in a scrapyard, maybe you're going to be fighting in the warehouse district. If you're not fighting in the warehouse district, you're fighting at an old campsite, whatever. It's still, nonetheless, you're having your players make content for you by beating the crap out of each other so they're too distracted to see all of the problems outside of the fucking PUBG. So them adding in this big ass fucking player versus player scenario is not what players fucking want. A lot of people, like, when they're presenting it, and this isn't just on the YouTube commentary, everybody's like, they don't want another Battle Royale because Battle Royale scenarios are slowly dying right now. I mean, yeah, there are a few holdouts. There are people who love the shit out of this genre.
And there will always be
There will
holdouts.
always be. And more power to them. If you're playing a game you enjoy, you are winning.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate. If you buy a game and you enjoy it, it doesn't matter if it's a Battle Royale game, it doesn't matter if it's Call of Duty, it doesn't matter if it's an RPG, it doesn't matter if it's a platformer. If you enjoy the game, you got the product you wanted, good on you. That is fucking wonderful. I am proud, I am happy, because that's what all gamers should have, is something they enjoy.
Yeah.
But them adding this to Fallout kind of degrades the whole lore and mythology of Fallout, and considering the fact that what they released on Fallout isn't even really a fucking Fallout title to begin with. It's just skinned as Fallout. It's not RPG in any way. They're like all the adventures of the people that had to go there to begin with. You're just basically wandering the wasteland by yourself with very little interaction. It's a buggy fucking mess. I could rip on Fallout 76 all day long and not make any fucking sense. The fact of the matter is, what people wanted from Fallout has just been nothing more than a shell of what they want. And Bethesda sitting there, you know, with their pay-to-win techniques and their supposed cosmetics and all of the anti-consumer practices. I don't even know how they're going to get 52 fucking players onto a server.
Fuck cosmetics. Can we go back to costumes?
Just what we needed, Darth Blasphemous. I'm ranting and you sit back in your chair making a long-ass squeak.
I mean, it's a
You know
very
what?
good statement of your opinion, all the same.
I'm so sorry.
You know what? WD-40 is a fucking thing. And Bethesda better figure out how to fucking WD-40 their fucking development cycle, because people... They've been announcing fucking, what is it, Starfall? StarCraft? Star Lords? Star Skyrim?
I don't know.
Star something? Star Scrolls? They've been announcing that for years, and of course at their conference this year they're like, we're still working on it, and people are like, whoop-de fucking shit. And of course Screamin' Steve, woo! Starfall! We don't even have any fucking details. This guy is practically having his testicles explode from how loud he is screaming. I'm like, what is there to be excited about, Screaming Steve? Why are you cheering? We
How
know
much are
nothing
they
about this
paying
game.
you for this?
Hey, honestly, I
Because
wonder
that
how-
must be a good gig. If all you gotta do is stand there for an hour and a half and scream "woo" at whatever is on screen, and you're getting paid a good fucking mint.
No,
you got it made.
No fucking lie. And of course, I'm going to go on the double entendre here of the Battle Royale thing, which is really weird. And I do give them credit. They were doing a game, Ghosts something something something, not memorable Tokyo. Some spooky ass horror genre game.
Oh, yeah.
I really wasn't paying attention to it because, of course, again, no gameplay. So they were just showing full motion videos and introducing their game, and I'm like, but what about the guts of the game? They showed us the guts of the game with Detroit becoming human, and that got me interested. Not showing me FMVs of how pretty it's going to be. So they're showing this, and the dude, of course, he comes up from fucking Tango Entertainment, or Tango. He comes up, gives an introduction, and of course, English is obviously not his first language. I'm not a complete dick, so I give him the benefit of the doubt and turn the volume up so I might be able to understand what the fuck he says. Cool, groovy. He gives his opening speech. Then they bring in a girl who also is part of the team. And, okay, we're talking stereotypes here? I have no idea, man. This girl, she comes up on stage, she's doing the poses, and she's we're super excited. She's right out of a fucking Japanese commercial, doing all the poses and stuff. At that time, though, I was listening to, or I was actually doing some work on the side, so I was not watching the screen, and I was having flashbacks to Battle Royale. I just thought, what did the older guy, is he on stage right now at E3? Did he just wheel up a TV and there's a Japanese girl explaining to the audience that they're going to get a bag with a random item in it and they're going to have 24 hours on the island and whoever lives gets to go on to the next year of school and everybody else will be dead? Because I was just getting flashbacks of images out of Battle Royale. She's up on a fucking TV explaining the rules of Battle Royale. Of course, I watched it later and I realized, no, it's not. They're not paying homage to one of the classic horror movies of Japan. However, it just felt that way. And when I did watch it, I was like, this chick is way too excited.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Adorable, but way too excited. She's like channeling the anime power. But overall, when I was watching EA's presentation, just every fucking thing they did was a misstep. And of course, Todd Howard was still using his self-depreciating humor, we got comments, and it was a tough year, but, exciting, and it was so exciting, I'm amazed you guys are still here. Well, haha, dude. When you have the worst fucking game release launch in the last goddamn decade, you have better got a room full of paid shells like Screamin' Steve.
I like your, going back to your analogy of it not being a real Fallout game, it's just wearing the skin of Fallout. In my mind, it conjured up an image of a Pip-Boy like Buffalo Bill. Would you play me?
Yeah,
I'd play me.
Would you play me?
I'd play me so hard.
Funny enough, on
Goodbye, horses.
I'm flying.
On that chick you were talking about, so she actually has been one of the ones to cross over in a couple of the waifu groups I'm in to go from 3D to 2D, and then now there's a giant thing of you don't lewd me, and I just find that hilarious where she was just so upbeat and anime and shit that they turned her into anime, and then now there's a division in the waifu group about lewd or not to lewd.
Yeah, she is up on stage, she was just super exuberant. She's doing the anime style poses and shit when she's talking. I mean, granted, the script was written for her, but she still had the delivery to make it somewhat funny.
Yeah.
So, it was actually enjoyable. It was pretty much the only thing about Bethesda's presentation that was enjoyable. And then, oh god, fuck me in the goat ass, I just fucking remembered. God damn it, why did I fucking remember this shit?
And the beast remembered its bile. Carry on!
Okay, so we know they partnered, or they bought out id, or partnered with id, and, bullshit, whatever. And of course, they're releasing the new Wolfenstein.
What did they do to Wolfenstein?
Okay. Now, let me preface this. Let me preface this, because unfortunately Darth Blasphemous had to sit through this.
What did they do to Mecha Hitler?
I agree. Okay, one of the things I learned, and one of my Texan friends, and I use the word friend loosely because he is Texan. It's just one of those things, dude. I spent time in the lower 13, in the deep south. I spent time where the only thing you had to fucking do was tie a piece of bacon to string and go out to a nearby pond and try to catch crawdads for dinner. That was an afternoon. We watched tornadoes as a form of fucking entertainment. When a train passed through our town, holy shit, crack a beer. That was interesting. It was fucking boring.
You're not
This was
doing
the
this-
kind of town where you would walk down to the local Piggly Wiggly, and there would be a preacher standing on the back of his Lincoln Continental, right on the trunk, thumping the Bible, and have a crowd gather around of him yelling, praise Jesus and amen. Okay, this is the type of thing that I grew up with for years. So coming back up north, it was kind of culture shock because there are two massively different modes of thinking between the north and the south, especially on many topics. And the south kind of stays with you. There are some things that just stick with you, like Southern hospitality doesn't go away. You still take a bit of that with you. But down in the south, during that time, one of the most common fucking words ever said was Jesus.
No
and
surprises.
if you didn't like it, it was Satan. If the car broke down, well, shit, Satan must have not liked you today. It was something about Satan that made your day worse. The kids are scared. Oh, Satan must be in the house. Gotta pray. Praise Jesus. There was a lot of that. And of course you have your every Sunday reminder to always praise Jesus for something and blame something else on Satan.
Well,
These were very common words. Like if your parents didn't like somebody that was one of your friends, well, he's just a tool of Satan. Like, I was not allowed to have a pet turtle. I'm a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's one of the greatest things ever made.
You like turtles.
I love Raphael. I could not have a pet turtle because they were tools of Satan. Somehow, a small shelled quadruped that mostly eats fish and plants is a tool of Satan.
I'm curious to know what your
A
tie
creature
into
that has
E3
a
is.
top speed of 1/4 mile an hour is a tool of Satan. It doesn't talk, it just eats and poops. Okay, so going on this, they get the presenter up there. He goes on stage. Every other sentence, Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. You can stab Nazis, you can shoot Nazis, evil Nazis, you can kill Nazis with friends. The world is filled with Nazis. Paris, Nazi country. He's just dropping Nazi like a motherfucker. And I'm just like, suddenly, my mind just recoils in terror. And I'm not advocating or dismissing Nazis. You can't at this point because, according to certain people, whoever they fucking point at and say Nazi is now apparently a Nazi magically. And I don't know. I have not seen any marches up and down the street. I have not seen pro-Nazi propaganda on TV. I don't see any new book releases. So I don't know where this giant Nazi movement is. I haven't seen it. Maybe somebody else has, but I have yet to see a bunch of brown shirts come knocking on my front fucking door.
They were dropping Nazis like the gallows after the Nuremberg trials.
Exactly. So, with the current climate right now, Nazi is like the biggest slur to use against white people. It's the white person's N-word. And they're using it left and right, so I cannot advocate or dismiss Nazis at this point, given that the fucking definition has become so fucking blurry.
Yeah, that's really kind of a dangerous thing.
They got this guy up on stage, and
Yeah.
he's just yelling, every fucking word out of his mouth is Nazi. Nazi, 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 Nazi. And I'm like, dude, can we tone this back a little bit? I understand you want a safe enemy, and there's only 3 safe enemies to put in media right now that you can kill with reckless abandon and not give any fucks. Aliens, undead, and Nazis. And holy shit, if you get all 3 together in one bundle, you got the trifecta of evil. But this guy, man,
all of
he's
a sudden, nobody gives a fuck.
and if you want to turn this around and make it really fucking interesting, really enjoyable,
Yeah.
replace the word Nazi as he's up on stage. He drops it, I think, almost a total of 12 times. Just replace it with any other demographic. And it becomes fucking hilarious. You could add a laugh track to it at that point, where he's like, you get to travel through Paris and kill evil Democrats. Or evil Jews. The Jews have taken over Paris. Or change it to the Arabs have taken over Paris. Or the white people have taken over Paris. Just change it to any other fucking demographic. The communists have taken over Paris, and you get to kill all the evil communists. You just interchange the word Nazi in that, and it just becomes fucking hilarious at that point. Because it's obvious this guy has just lost his fucking mind. I get it. It's Wolfenstein. You know what? I played Wolfenstein back on a PC when it first came out. It was a great fucking game back then.
Yeah.
And yes, you had Mecha Hitler. You knew who the bad guys were. It didn't have to be pretty much advertised, because the first time you shot a guy, you're like, oh, I'm in a bunker filled with Nazis. Okay, I gotta shoot these dudes. Because I'm the great American action hero here. I get it. It fits within the realm of the game, but god damn! Can we just cool it down with that shit? We get the point. There's no reason to jackhammer it home. I am not sitting in a Southern Baptist church hearing about how every evil thing is Satan.
Yeah.
I don't need to be sitting in my living room watching E3 hearing about every evil thing being a Nazi. Holy fuck. And speaking of the word fuck,
Yeah.
while I'm on the topic, and Bethesda did this the most, so a part of my fucking Bethesda rant is knocking on these guys' door going, hey, this is supposed to be a family-friendly show, okay? You are being watched by teenagers, preteens, parents. You're being watched by grandmas at this point. You were being watched by every fucking generation possible, from boomers to millennials to Gen Y to Gen Z
To Zoomers.
to Zoomers to Gen whatever the fuck's coming next. Fuck, for all I know, they're spectral entities from 1812 watching your fucking show over somebody's shoulders because they cannot physically manifest at this point. Everybody is watching your fucking show. You are a representative of your company. You are a representative of your format. I can say fuck all I want on this goddamn podcast because it's my fucking podcast and I'm a representative of my fucking podcast. Great. And I use it in everyday language. It is not obvious that I'm using fuck as kind of a way to be edgy. It's just how I fucking talk.
Yeah.
It's been that way since I was 11, and in my first fight, when a guy insulted my mom, and I told him, yes, my mom is a cunt, and now I get to fuck you up.
Fucking A, Cotton.
That's right. I've been swearing since like the age of 11, and I've had a foul, dirty mouth ever since then. I don't give a shit. But anyway, these guys up on stage, and they did it in a couple of the other presentations, some of the other dudes, but they did not really... It seemed more natural. And these guys seemed very disingenuous. It's like they were saying fuck just to get attention. And I remember E3 several years ago, somebody dropped the F-bomb on stage. Once. And everybody lost their shit. It became like the talk of YouTube for 15 minutes. The topic that, you know, so-called media like Vox and fucking the Daily Beast and all them guys would, you know, at least do an article on, like, how, you know, they shouldn't say this because it's a family-friendly environment. I agree with that. I agree with the fact that this is a business presentation. You should conduct yourself with some business decorum when addressing a large amount of people. I'm not paid to do the podcast, so I can say whatever the fuck I want, but that dude's being paid. And he's being paid on behalf of a AAA business. You know, so I expect a small amount of decorum. I also expect game trailers,
and
but, you know, we all don't get what we want at E3. But he's up there, and he's like, the other dude, you know, they got these two Frenchies up there, you know, cheese-eating surrender monkeys from Quebec. And
wow.
Okay, sorry, Kaz.
That's some of my heritage there, but that's
whatever.
Carry on.
Whatever, poutine muncher. Anyway, they're up there, and like one of the guys, he starts out the presentation, and it seems exactly what I want to hear out of a presentation as they're talking about the game.
What game?
Whatever. I don't know.
It's no longer relevant.
They were French. They were the natively French speakers, so automatically I dismissed them being American.
Okay.
You know, for the most part. But, you know, my stance on France has been changing over recent years, especially seeing how much of a hellhole that country is becoming. And it's kind of like watching your kid brother get beat up. And, you know, eventually at some point, I just want to step in and be like, look, you don't beat on my kid brother. I beat on my kid brother. You get the fuck out of here. You know, my historical view on France is we're more like siblings who just pick on each other constantly. And right now, I'm seeing somebody else pick on my sibling, and I'm not liking it. But anyway, these two guys are up on stage, these two native French-speaking Canadian guys. And, you know, the first guy, he's giving the presentation on the game, and it seems really tight, it seems really legit. He's getting the message across. I'm like, okay, I'm following this. And then the other guy's like, plus, we think it's really fucking cool. Pause for laughs. He you know, that intentional pause. Pause for claps. Pause for laughs. Of course, Screaming Steve, woo! Out there screaming his ass off.
So much. I hate that.
And, you know, then they have a little diatribe over it. The first French dude looks back at the other guy, and he's like, hey, you know, maybe we should have said that in French. Blah, 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 blah. And he had this look on his face like he missed a golden opportunity. Like he was jealous the other dude dropped the F-bomb, and nobody came up and stoned him to death. So then he follows up, you know, after saying, you know, maybe we should tone it down. He's like, it's a great fucking game. Like, he's out there to get fucking fishing. Yeah, it's like he's fishing for fucking applause now. You know, and these guys, they're up there dropping F-bombs, and Bethesda was the biggest aggravator of this going on, of dropping swears and being lewd a little bit in some of the diatribe. And I'm just like, guys, if you're going to say fuck, 1, don't look uncomfortable about it. 2, don't fish for applause. Just be natural about it. Don't just blurt it the fuck out just to see how the audience will respond.
I just hate it when any sort of presenters at any sort of conference, you know, whether it be E3 or just anything, they decide they have to be a comedian because they're on a stage in front of people.
Yeah,
it's just that stuff just
of professionalism.
Yeah, it just pisses me off to no end. Like, if I wanted to hear comedy, I'd go see a comedian, you know?
Exactly.
Someone who's actually funny.
Yeah.
I just noticed my rant has gone way over time.
You know, I think it's fair. I mean, this should be a special anyway, because it is E3, and, well, we're Blunt Force gamers.
I know, I just... Bethesda has had me so pissed off for the last several days, I just had this shit gurgling in my guts. And...
No, like... I will vouch for this. I haven't even been in the same building as this man, and I can tell that he has been just a vomitous mass of anger over Bethesda because he always is. Because
Okay.
Bethesda royally fucks up time and time again.
But this is how, like, okay, you know why I have a massive, egregious amount of hate towards Bethesda? Bethesda's like a good friend, right? When I first got introduced to Bethesda, one of my friends showed me this game called Oblivion. I'm like, holy fuck, this game looks so awesome. How come I don't know about it? What the fuck is this? I play Oblivion. I instantly fall in love. They come out with DLC. The DLC is reasonably priced, adds to the game, but is not cheaty in any way. Like the Shivering Isles, it isn't cheaty, it's still balanced. 30 hours of goddamn content for $20. Who the fuck can pass that up, right? I'm playing this game, and I played it until the point I got bored. And that was hundreds of hours later. I'm like, holy shit. I just looked at my time counter one day. I'm like, I put 400 hours in this game, and I have accomplished jack shit, and I've had a great time doing it the whole way. Then I hear about mods. And I'm like, what's with this whole modding thing? You know, I understand modding because I've done it to games before. I didn't understand that there was a whole community of these people that actually got together, put together data files, released them, and people could download them to enhance their game. And Bethesda gave a thumbs up to that. I am like, holy shit, that is wonderful. A company who releases a product, and you're able to modify that product after you purchase it to make your game experience better. And then, of course, I looked at some of the analytics. And you look at the analytics, and part of the reason why Bethesda games are so cherished and beloved and live well beyond their lifespan of most other games is because of modding. If it wasn't for modding, Oblivion would have vanished into the aether just like every other game. You couldn't mod Dragon Age.
Yeah.
Where is it now? You couldn't mod fucking Mass Effect really well. Where is it now? Most of the Star Wars games that came out from early release, like the old Republic games, can't mod those. They're still beloved, but the replay value is kind of low after like the 5th or 6th playthrough. A lot of games don't have a lot of replay value, and then when you mod them, you instantly give it replay value.
That's just kind of something you said there.
And-
After the 5th or 6th playthrough,
Yeah.
how many games can you say, I want to replay that once nowadays, you know?
A lot of times, you know. So
Yeah.
I fell in love with Bethesda. They had a really good sense of what the community wanted. And, you know, giving away the ability to amplify that from the community, the user base is great. And then, you know, of course I played that. Then I played Fallout. And Fallout again, it was the same deal. There's a community of people there. They have this site called the Nexus. They have the tools where I can mod it even easier than I could mod Oblivion. So that brought in people like myself into the modding community at that time. And I looked at it, I'm like, even more casuals can get in on this. Casuals can now just pick up a thing, load it to their system, grab what mods they want, drop it in a folder, hit open, and all their mods go in, and now they can hit another thing and sort all those mods to reduce conflicts. So the users are doing all these fantastic things, and behind the scenes, Bethesda's still giving the thumbs up. And this trend continued and continued and continued. And then they tried to do the paid mods thing the first time around. And when that came out, a lot of people started getting more critical.
Yeah.
I became more critical. And I'm like, wait a minute, dude, what are you doing? And it's like my best friend, you know, he's been my buddy, he's had my back, he always shows up, he always has a great, interesting conversation, he's always the life of the party when he shows up, makes my day better. But now he wants me to pay money out of pocket more than I already have for the things I already have at the party. And I'm like, wait, dude, no, what's going on here? Why are you charging my guests at my party for beer that's already at the party?
Yeah.
You know, and now it's got to the point where my good friend, Bethesda, shows up to my house, and he's like, hey, we're going to have a party, but it's only going to be a handful of us, and everybody else is just going to show up down the line, and the party's just going to get better and better. And the party starts out as a buggy fucking mess. You know, the house is trashed even before I walk in the door. And I'm like, how the hell did this happen? And Bethesda's like, it's your fault. And I'm like, how is this my fault? And
And
he's like,
he had all the supplies.
he's like, deal with
beforehand.
it, party boy. It's your fault. Oh, by the way, if you want more music for later on, I happen to have a few CDs, but you're going to have to pay $5 for it. And all that great shit that made your party wonderful and all those extra decorations that came, no, you're going to have to pay for it now. Or, you know, you're an idiot. And I'm like, what the fuck? Now Bethesda doing their presentations, you know, he's like, oh yeah, I'll swing over and I'll bring over the good beer. And then, you know, the party starts in his PBR. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? What the hell? We used to be drinking Top Shelf. You know, where's the Sam Adams? Come on. I know for our listeners, Sam Adams isn't Top Shelf, but hey, I like it. So, Bethesda and this last fucking volley, since last E3, they have put themselves in a position where people like me who used to love them, and there is no enemy that is more terrifying than somebody who's been a former friend. No enemy is more terrifying and more vindictive than somebody who used to have your back.
Yep.
And
Precisely why I don't like Star Wars anymore.
Exactly. And this last year, since Bethesda released, made the announcement for Fallout 76, they have shown that they are that former friend who's turned their back on us, and we, as the former best friend, are like,
dude, the fuck.
That's right. We're turning into poisonous, vindictive motherfuckers because our friend has turned on us.
Yeah. At E3 this year, I think, even some of the gaming journalism, and I say that loosely because, well, who can take gaming journalism seriously?
Considering that some of the former game journals are now working for the companies they used to journal?
Yeah, but I think The Escapist finally, I give them mad props. Because I think they finally got fed up, because to be their representative, they sent the mad dog of the gaming critics world, they sent Yahtzee to be their representative. Oh my god, watching him just, rip into and blow the confidence off of all the developers there,
well, the
that was
lack
almost
of creativity needs to be called out. I mean, all of the shit that was being shown at E3 this year was all fucking boring. It was all the same. It was all games that have already been done.
Dude, those developers were afraid to talk to him. You could see, they were uncomfortable talking to him.
Oh, yeah.
That was almost a sexual experience.
We need people who are willing to put them out front and center.
Yeah.
And be like, why are you doing a game that's a ripoff of another game? Most of these games, there was very few that I saw in any presentation that was anywhere near new, anywhere near being original, anywhere being anything. Most of them were just rehashes or titles that are already out. And again, this brings me back full circle that I think 2020 is going to be big because they're waiting for Microsoft to go, here's our new system, so they can unveil a bunch of new games.
Well, my thing is, whenever they release a new console, who gives a shit about new release titles? Because they're usually nothing more than, hey, look how good our graphics are, let's skip gameplay.
You know what?
Launch titles suck.
I'm still pissed at Bethesda right now, even though I've ranted.
Yeah.
So this episode is going to go full 90 minutes. You guys just take the last 8. I need a cigarette.
All right.
So, my takeaway as someone who just watched from the sidelines and caught a couple of reports and saw a couple of YouTubers who don't usually talk about games talk about E3.
Fucking Bethesda.
My outsider take is it was a hot mess, and the true winner of E3 was Sony for not showing up, because last year they wrote a big check that their ass couldn't cash.
Yeah. For fuck's sake, that too.
Here we go.
The mic.
Okay, last year Sony released a bunch of God damn it, I just lit up my cigarette too. They were talking about a bunch of their new titles coming out.
You can take a drag,
I know I can take a drag, but I also have to try to breathe while I'm talking.
Okay.
Okay, so to elaborate on what Darth Blasphemous is talking about, Sony released the previews for a bunch of titles last year. They put dates on these. Okay, so we gamers, we're now monkeys. We're looking at bananas. We as monkeys love our bananas. And when we're told we're going to get a banana on Tuesday, March 13th, 2019, or whatever fucking date, I just pulled that out of my ass. There probably really isn't a Tuesday, March 13th, but if there is, holy shit. Anyway, they're showing a bunch of these titles. You got Last of Us, the Lesbian Edition. You've got what's-his-face running around with the baby on his chest, and a bunch of other titles.
Oh, Death Stranding.
And of course, a bunch with zombies, which are going to be totally fucking memorable, because wow, zombies, that hasn't been done before. Anyway, there's a bunch with zombies and all that, but they're putting specific dates on a lot of these. Okay, so the bananas have a freshness date on them. We know when these bananas are going to be arriving at our house. They're going to be fresh. They're going to be ready to go. And we're just going to fling poop everywhere in excitement and eat our fucking bananas. Here we are a year later. Where's our bananas? These games were scheduled to be released before this E3. I'm still a monkey, and I'm hungry. There's poop everywhere. And I have no bananas.
Goblin, please. There's already enough stains on the wall.
Back to my cigarette.
All right, guys, give us your final thoughts before we incur another rant.
Moniker?
Oh, man. Yeah, good on you, Sony, for just not showing up. And that feels kind of sad to say that, I mean, I'm looking forward to some of the Nintendo stuff, I'll admit. I'm a Nintendo fanboy. That being said, with the way the AAA industry is going, all you indie developers out there, don't develop too much of an ego, please, because there are some shit indie titles out there. Like, Everyone's Gone to the Rapture. I know that's an older one, but it was pretentious. It sucked.
No Man's Sky.
Yeah, No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. Everywhere.
Yeah, I guess, Blasphemous, you said that E3 was a hot mess. I think it was worse than that. It was just mediocre. And to me, there's nothing worse with something like this in mediocrity.
True, that's why real Americans don't like soccer. We don't like a game that ends in 0-0. We're not fans of mediocrity.
All the same.
Looking at you too, hockey.
Carrying on, I think that this year's E3 is undeniably a waste of time, with the only shining little diamond was Keanu Reeves. No, you're breathtaking!
I will give you that. Keanu Reeves, out of all of the videos I saw, sideline, all the commentary I saw, all the presentations, Keanu Reeves just...
Keanu won E3.
That guy's just, he's gone from living meme to just treasure.
Yeah. And, there's memes where there's the hand passing the key, and it's like, Chuck Norris, coolest guy on the internet,
Yeah,
Keanu
I
Reeves.
saw that.
It's becoming a thing.
Well, it's just, his response was so legitimate. Like, when the guy from the audience, and it wasn't Screaming Steve, because it wasn't Bethesda.
Right. It was,
it was
an honest fan.
It was an honest fan who just yelled it out during that pause when Keanu was taking a breath. Yelled it out, and Keanu, you could tell, he was obviously just struck by it.
It's like, for real? You really think... No, dude, that's you!
Yeah, he threw it back, so it was just fucking great. It was an honest...
Pure moment.
It was an honest exchange, and yeah, that was a fucking highlight right there. It wasn't the games, it was Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
John Wick shows up, people lose their shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, there's also memes about people like, hey, Keanu Reeves is going to be in a popular, relevant, recent video game. That makes him eligible to be in Smash. Are you guys fucking serious?
Oh yeah, last little Nintendo news. Banjo and Kazooie and the hero from Dragon Quest are the two characters that they announced new for Smash.
All I gotta say is Dragon Quest rules.
Dragon Quest 9 coming to the Switch.
I might have to buy a Switch.
Oh, does that mean I can get some poof poof?
You can get some poof poof.
I love it. I love the poof poof scenes. Those are so hilarious.
I kind of want to get some slime plushies for the house, just because.
Yeah, that is just the first time I got poof poof. I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" So yeah, new Dragon Quest, dude, that makes me excited.
Yeah, they've also got a new Fire Emblem game coming out. It's like 3 houses, which actually looks pretty cool. I mean,
well, all
that
the
being
Fire
said,
Emblem games look cool,
Yeah.
and then you play them, and you get 3 runs, and then you're like, okay, I'm bored now.
Yeah, I know. I just hate the overly cringy anime dialogue. This super deep, introspective, I know all of life's philosophies, and I have such a hard life. Dude, you're fucking 14. Fuck off.
Oh, such edge.
Yeah, just the edginess for edginess' sake. I can't fucking stand it in anime anymore.
All right, I think we've gotten off topic enough. We've said our final
No,
thoughts.
we're trying to end on a fucking positive note, like Darth Blasphemous wants, because he likes to end on a positive note. And
here's our positive note.
After 30 minutes of just talking about Bethesda, I'm kind of glad that Dragon Quest got mentioned, because it does add a bit of something
Positive.
good. Just
Okay.
something.
How about this? What's a game we're legitimately looking forward to? We'll end on that.
I am legitimately
He's spurging out.
I'm spurging out. I am legitimately looking forward to Cyberpunk. Actually, legit, 100%. The game looks fucking tight. The gameplay they've shown so far is very much looks engaging. From what I've seen so far, it looks like what Deus Ex wanted to be.
I said it once, I'll say it again. CD Projekt Red, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Blasphemous, what are you excited for?
Dragon Age, like I said, I might have to go buy a Switch, because I'm sorry, I played the originals back in the day when my uncles were like, you're bored? Play this, you won't be bored again. And yeah, I might have to call my uncle and just have him send me the old games and the systems to play them on, because wow, nostalgia. Just member berries, bro.
Get a Switch and add me, buddy.
Well, alright. Moniker?
My final thoughts. Oh, game I'm looking forward to. What was it called? Astral Chain. That looks pretty cool. I like the art style, and I've always had a soft spot for Platinum games. So, yeah. I'll check it out. If it's not good, it's not good. And you know what? Red Letter Media said this about movies, and I think it applies to video games too. If it's just even an okay game, so long as I'm having fun, it's not Game of the Year, that is fine too. I just want to enjoy myself.
I like that mentality. It's very much mirroring what Goblin was saying. If you're having fun and you got the product you want, good. You win. Doesn't matter what the game says, you won. Right there. And speaking of games, I think I'm in the same boat. Goblin has mentioned it, you know, like I had watched prior to this E3 about an hour of gameplay of Cyberpunk 77, and I was blown away even then. Like, they were doing a little bit of commentary on what they were doing and all that stuff, but it was gameplay. It was real gameplay. And I was blown away then. And then this extra stuff with Keanu and, like, all the Slavic magic and vodka that they're pouring into it, I already knew I was gonna get it, and damn if I'm not further enthused.
Real quick, before we head out, just want to say, Slavic magic is known as hard work in the West.
Hoorah!
Alright everybody, Blasphemous signing out.
If you want more podcasts of me swearing relentlessly about other people swearing or whatever, we always talk about gaming on our channel, so you can check us on YouTube. You can Google Blunt Force Gamers. You can find our podcast. You're really easy. We're all over the place. You can find us on Podbean. We're available on Android, iTunes. Like, comment, subscribe. Standard boilerplate begging for people to sub. And, yeah, sponsored by Apathy. Bye now. Goblin out.
Moniker of the Burnt Out Gamers, signing off. Okurwa.
Kazurkan, back to the sky.
The Philadelphia experiment was real.